Jimmy left that John Deere tractor standing out in the field. Motor still a running, mud all over the wheel. He stepped out in the two-lane, rolled himself a smoke, rode his bedroll on his back, and then he headed down the road. And along come a semi with a heavy load, laying her down between the telephone poles. She pulled over hard in the summer heat, kicking up the gravel like a wounded beast. And to the roar of the diesel, the driver said, "Son, get in or get out, I got a road to run." And he climbed the pipe on the shotgun side, rolled his blanket in the back, he settled down to ride away. And the farm boy gave his soul to the highway. Now Jimmy learned to drive that rig while the driver got his sleep. A million miles later he turned 35, sitting in the driver's seat. Then one day on a Kansas two-lane, a farm boy crossed the fence. A pair of Sunday go-to-meeting shoes stood on the hot cement. And along come a semi with a heavy load, laying her down between the telephone poles. She pulled over hard in the summer heat, kicking up the gravel like a wounded beast. And through the roar of the diesel, Jimmy said, "Son, get in or get out, I got a road to run." The kid climbed up on the shotgun side, rolled his blanket in the back, he settled down to ride away. And the farm boy gave his soul to the highways. Yeah. Well, it's 4 in the morning and the policeman says, "Son, you can't sleep in the depot. I get some coffee, but I'm broke, so I roll me a smoke." He's out among the morning people. Step up to the newsstand, talking to the paper man, talking to the old street sweeper. When the neon lights show my face all over the early morning paper. He said, "I wanted for robbing a grocery store, disguised as a little old lady. He's a bad pistol packer, it's your money he is after, consider him armed and crazy." Well, I put me in a trash can, waiting for the trash man to haul me out of the city. He said, "You got to understand, I'm just a garbage man, and I ain't gonna take you with me." No, it's too late to make my escape when I hear the police are coming. He pulled out the 45, stuck it right between my eyes, and he said, "Don't you even do nothing." He said, "You wanted for robbing a grocery store, disguised as a little old lady. You're a bad pistol packer, it's money you're after, and son, you armed me crazy." Well, you can see him anywhere you go, laying where the concrete's cold, and you wonder if he always looked that way. And you wonder where he'll go to die, and how he to stay alive, and how he keeps him warm when it's cold. Don't you know you're looking at somebody's daddy? Or at the least he is his mother's son. 100 years ago he was a hero, born when he was needed by someone. His way of life had reason and a meaning, and the world had a place for restless men. But now he's like a ship in a bottle. His soul is hungry for a gentle wind. Now the railroad ties he's walked across like monuments the men who lost and laid their souls beneath the running rails, to haunt the ones who follow them. They all become restless men who never know the meaning of a home. Well, I drank down the dust with the bourbon straight up. Another hot rodeo day. When she sat down beside me, all painted and pretty, a girl of the night, you might say, with cool blue eyes and a shanty town smile, elusive as fresh morning dew. She said, "You're a sad one, and no doubt a bad one. Oh, I know a lot about you. You are another rough rider. You like your bourbon straight up. The horses you ride are the wild killing kind. Good luck just ain't enough. 'Cause there ain't no woman could hold you to take the wild in your soul. Drive out the twister that's driving you, mister, crazy and out of control. Well, we went for the nighttime this morning was coming, and I said I will run tonight. Been deep in the shadows where I'd never traveled, the wild inside of me died. And I awoke looking into those cool blue eyes, and I said, let me stay here with you, 'cause you can control the wild in my soul like no other woman could do.
Christ, man, why don't you sing something depressing?
Renegade, you're broken, swinging from a moving
I
train.
hate that fucking song.
Stop worn,
toes
the toes
are
are
torn,
torn.
where
Where
you-
we're passing through some other town.
Hey,
Some other
hey, can I go
town.
to some other town?
And he feels like an old rope inside, laying
Upon you, my
dusty
gold
in
watch
the
chain love.
corner of
Upon you, my gold wedding ring. Upon you, this heart is my
laying
book.
like
Only say that you love me then. Oh, the white roses blooms in the garden.
from
It blooms
riding
with the
hard,
love in my heart.
from riding hard. Renegade.
Upon you, my gold watch and chain love. Upon you, my gold wedding ring. On. I play this radio, Steve, because, so that I don't have to hear those voices anymore. See, as far as I'm concerned, Ellen and Jim could have been fucking twins. Mean tempers inside good features, you know what I mean? Big stuff. I think that's true of Ellen. Jim, he can talk for himself. My, how Ellen could break my balls. Why don't you take a flying fuck to Pissville, Oklahoma? Then God will sit on his black behind and pay you for listening to your country western albums a whole day long. I mean, forget about the goddamn cracked ceiling that leaks plaster into everything I cook. If you like little white chips in your snap beans, fine. I'll go out to the garden and I'll collect kicks all over my legs just so we can all get lead poisoning like those people in Cleveland. Yeah. She tended to become inaccurate when she got inside her. Can't get lead poisoning from plaster. I told her as much. Only from paint. Oil-based paint at that. Although, I had been kind of painting over that crack in the ceiling when it was smaller instead of actually fixing it. Hell, that was months before. Maybe she remembered she was ahead of me again. I don't know. It was surely off plaster. Of course, maybe it was lead poison that was causing all the trouble. Although what was eating at me didn't fit the scene. For Christ's sake, you're a doctor. When you work, you're the best doc I've seen. What more do you want? Gee, my brother is a part-time farmer and a full-time miner, and he is happy. And Jesse Rawlings up the road has been harvesting tobacco with one arm and a half-wit son for the last 10 years. You don't see him mooning around the backyard with his hands in his pockets, humming sentimental ballads and staring at the trees. No! He works. They work. Everyone works except for bums and debutantes. That's what puts the flame around life and the family. That's what can heal that empty part you moan about if you just get to it. Inaccurate again. Old Jesse couldn't very well put his hands in his pockets, having only one. And when you got only one, you don't want that one stuck away anywhere. You know, you want it out there where you can use it and people can see how handy it is. That's it. She's right. She is. They work, but against odds. They fight a fight. I mean, it is difficult for Jesse getting that crop in what his son's really and forgetting what he's doing. And Bill Tarfelt, he's another guy. He's got this real nice piece of land. It's closer to town, not too far down in the valley. Wow. Just 4 years ago, whenever one it was a bringing in bumpers of tobacco he's never grown for nothing. It dried up halfway through the summer. He figured too much drainage, or maybe an outcrop of lime underneath his land. So he figured he'd try grazing. But don't you know, half his herd died in a freak fever that ran through the town. So he went to the bank and he got himself a loan using God. I say, God knows what as collateral that he put himself up 8 chicken shacks. And he brought himself in a truckload of birds. And just 1 year later, I say 1 year, he put up 5 more shacks. Why? It just seems to me that that land was meant for a peck in this. Well, old Bill's doing just fine right now, except his wife left him for a revivalist from Hurtville. See, that's it, though, you see. Bill has always had bad luck. Probably always will. That's what he fights. My road, man, my road was all planned out, smooth for me for as long as I could remember. Hell, all I had to do was keep walking, stay married, have kids, get wealthy, start to twitch, and then get paused as the walls closed in. So I stopped that light and I got off that road and I headed out on my own, and I don't care whether I was right or wrong or what the results were. At least once I felt myself moving under my own steam, you see. And I felt the pressure of one life moving against another. Hell, I don't know. Maybe I just always wanted to feel definite, unforgiving, and male. You know, I don't even know if I married Ellen just to leave her. I did leave her, though. Yes, I did, and I did go out west. You know, there's something stark and solid about the West. It's cleanliness. There's something sort of washed out, you know, removed. There is something in day-to-day living elsewhere that does not exist in Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. And you see, whatever that is that's missing, its absence makes things better for me. Between songs and in the afternoon, always after this Ovaltine commercial, this guy would come on with guitars and a cattle roundup in the background. Now, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Tex Ritter is the best Western singer country Western music has ever known. Now, he's got a new recording out on Capitol, and if you want to hear those heifers on that open range, you want to see that sunset over those mountains or feel those reins in your hands, you either go out west or you buy this out. Tex Ritter, singing for you. You know, I guess that's my earliest memory. 3 or 4 years old, you know, sitting in front of that huge skyscraper of a radio in our parlor in Lexington, Kentucky, while Mama baked oatmeal bread and Daddy finished up dentistry school. You know, Mom bought that album too. She did, just like WSM told her to. And really, it was 478 stacked together like a book. Now, something in me changed over the next couple of years, you see, because we couldn't play this stuff when Daddy was around. He hated it. He was gone. Mom and me, we used to play those albums till we just about wore them out. We got so we knew all the words and we'd sing along, just a hooping and a hollering and a yodeling. I knew right then and there I didn't belong in Kentucky. I was due out in the great Southwest, and if I didn't get on it and get out there, whatever it was waiting for me would be gone. First, I had to go to grade school. First in Lexington, then in Berea, Kentucky, when Daddy set up practice there. Let's see, John B. Lesher High School in Berea, Kentucky. University of Kentucky in Lexington. UK Medical School, Lexington. And Family Practice Residency, also in Lexington. Lexington. Ellen Plunkett whacked me in the mouth reaching back for a family circle to check out at the Kroger grocery store. She'd forgotten hers, you see, and, I was standing behind her, and she reached back, split my lip. We spent the next 45 minutes getting to know each other in the UK emergency room. She found out that I was a medical student, and I found out that she was a nurse at the VA hospital. Well, 2 years later, we were married. 2 years after that, I joined the practice of this old doc, Wilford Simpson. He was middle class, kind of sedate, honest as a day is long, and I really liked his work, so we moved to Boonesboro. I started taking patients, and this old guy comes in one day. Look, don't you see how this was all one big slide? I popped out of my mama's womb onto a greased track. I didn't do anything. Everything was preordained except for that episode with Tex Ritter and my mom and the promise I made to myself, you see. That was a warp. It didn't fit. Anyway, I start taking patients, and this old guy comes in one day, and he's got back problems. Oh, I am glad to see a young man like you. Real glad. You know, we seem to be mostly older folk around here, or folks hurrying up getting older. I mean, Boonesboro is a boring sort of place for a young man. You see, I've had my day. And this hard-working, self-righteous little town fits me like wool socks. Well, good. Anyway, I admire a young man like you. Settled and steady. I bet y'all have a garden, and your wife does canning. Am I right? Hey, shoot. I knew it. I was married once. I loved her hard. Nobody to this day can look me in the eye the way she did. Something inside her, I don't know what. I treated her like a puppy, though. I did. I drug her through too many new towns, always expecting her to be there when I turned around. And then, and then one morning, she started slapping the shit out of me while I was still asleep. Oh, I bet she stared at me a long time before she did that. Yeah, before I was fully awake, she grabbed her bag, jumped in the car, and gone. Probably went back home again and started teaching. Maybe found herself a man like you. You know, if I wasn't so damn curious about the obvious, I'd be a lot better off. I mean, a mountain is a mountain. Town's a town. My seeing it ain't going to change it one whit. So, let me ask you something, son. How many kids you going to have? Because you see, getting old is a lonely business. Being young is all you got, so you might as well have it running around your feet calling you daddy so you can appreciate it. So how many? Look, I don't know. Well, we haven't talked numbers yet. Listen, you've strained some muscles in the lower left section of your back. It's going to hurt some for about a month, and I'm going to prescribe some muscle relaxant for you. Don't drive while you're taking them, okay? And be sure and get a lot of bed rest over the next few weeks, okay? Thanks. Well, felt like I was gray already and had specs. Hey! Listen now. What would you think of a man that chucked all this, being a doctor, everything, to go out west and be a rodeo cowboy, huh? Huh? Well, now I don't know what I think of such a man. Listen, son, the fact that you are the way you are makes me make sense. I mean, something solid has to be around. Otherwise, what holds things together? Stick it out, son. Regret is a hair shirt. And whatever you do, don't go in that rodeo. Well, it's Colorado calling after me. Colorado calling in the land of free. I was a handyman for a man named Herb Dawson on a Cherokee dude ranch just 7 miles north of Livermore in the Colorado Rockies only 1 week after I left Kentucky. I owe that to Jim. You know, I owe a whole hell of a lot to Jim. I just don't think I could ever pay him back. You know, when I first met him, it was Jim and Pat. Now, they were the wranglers on the place, and, well, that meant they took care of the horses in the stables, you know, took the dudes out on the trail ride twice a day, and danced with the ladies on square dance nights. Well, we shared a cabin together, and since I was this dude from down south with an honest face, as Jim put it, you know, we got along pretty well. I actually felt young around these folk. What part of Kentucky did you say you're from, Pudgy? You been odd jobbing all your life? You not in trouble with the law, are you? Okay, mister. Your job around here is to sweep up, pick up, and shut up. Don't get drunk or rowdy, leastways not around here. Wednesday will be your day off, and you can probably get a ride into town with Jim or Pat, as that's their day off, too. Also, you got to glue the tips back on the pool cues every other day. And you got to clean the pool. And every few days, take this here 22 down to the dump and shoot skunks. There is too many of them. Boy, I sure do hope Jim's right about you, and you don't disappoint any of us. Hey, don't you worry about that, Herb. I won't disappoint you. I've done my share of that shit. Oh, the white rose blooms in the garden, blooms with the love in my heart. Broke through on the day that I met you, would die on the day that we part. You know, sometimes the oddest times I can actually hear Ellen's voice. Oh, she had a lot of them, but there's this one that just sort of swept in and brushed the dust around. One night she came downstairs, she sat right down on the edge of the bed, wasn't crying anymore. Had that blue checked shirt on, you know, one with the tear in the shoulder. She She said, you can't do this. You are a doctor. You can't be serious. You're an adult. Look, whatever it is that's eating at you, we can get at it together. I'm from Kentucky. I don't know any place else, but I'll go anywhere with you. Just bury me here. So you don't want a family now, right? So you don't want a garden or the dog and the cat. You must have lied 100 times to me. Then I can accept that. Just don't walk away with your hands in your pockets here. Put one around me. Touch me there. Feel this. It belongs to you. You are no longer a kid. You are no longer one person. Yeah, I know that. See, but I just can't stretch that far right now, Ellen. I just can't. All you want me to do is come home and put slippers on or something like that. I just can't do that. But I'll tell you one thing I can do. I can stop loving you, and I can... I'm sitting in this old abandoned pickup truck, see, and stick the rifle out where the windshield used to be. Wait. The dump was out in the middle of a forest, about a mile from the ranch. You know, mounds of dirt, tin cans, old mattresses, making a funny-looking mountain range. Well, they had the burros there, see, with their homes and their pathways, and you just sit tight and you wait for them to go back to business. While the magpies and dolphins spread one wing and then another. You know, at first I wasn't doing any good. Wasn't even doing anything but kicking up dust and making noise. I didn't even know how to use that scope or squeeze the trigger. But after a while, practice with some tin cans, I got it. And then one afternoon, I went out there and I got in that truck, and everything was quiet. Air was wound tight. Tents, magpies were sitting on their branches, just as still as make-believe. No sound. Till the scratching of the one sent out to be shot. Crawled out of his burrow hole, walked over to the nearest mound, sat up on his hind legs like a prairie dog. Damn skunks had drawn straws and was probably fixed. He's a poor provider. He's a chicken shit, though he's dead now. Thought to me, that sucker. And the magpies are screaming, and he's rolling, but he's up and he's scrambling for that burrow hole. Can I pull the boat back? Get one more round in. He's got his bleeding front end in, and that white ass and tail sticking up in the air, and those little legs are scrambling for footing. Oh, gee, just give me a footing and dead on that white spot. And it exploded and disappeared at the time. Skunk's front door looked like it's open wound. And the screaming's even louder. And I'm out of that truck. And the air is all black and white wings. And shut up! Shut up! Shut up, you fucking rubbernecker! Shut up! And 2 shots up in there. Oh, like a moral magpie's heading for church. And I'm getting out fast. Almost trip over what looks like this stone, you know. It's really 3 gray rabbits trying to look like a stone. Get out of here, no witness. I said, split, goddamn. And they don't move. So, I lowered the gun. And behind one brown eye is one blue black muzzle, one round left. Look, I won't shoot you if you fucking run. Don't be so goddamn afraid of me. Okay? 2 rabbits run, one sort of rolls and flops there, and I run.
I run and I stumble the whole mile back.
Ride 'em, cowboy.
Look, there's one reason at all. I hope you'll consider that enclosure is desirable when you think about what's out there.
You know what happened? You just have 1 round left and 3 scared little rounds.
Oh, would you go and shoot that fucking rabbit, boy? I mean, for Christ's sake. Look at it this way. You are a little guilt-ridden and a little trigger-happy, and that's it. Let's talk about something else, okay? Dang. Look at it this way. When I was 14 years old, I saw my first deer, and I put a bullet from a 30-06 right through the neck of the prettiest, most peaceful doe you ever saw. Hell, everybody's a murderer sooner or later. So take it in stride. Look, I tell you what. Let's you and me get out of here, okay? I got an offer to ride in Cheyenne Frontier Day. I know these people down there at the TriStar Ranch, and they... Well, anyway, after all this shit we've been passing back and forth for the last few months, hell, we get along pretty well. I think you'd like to see it. You can help me out by keeping me out of trouble. Hell, Pat can take care of my shit around here, and they can hire another handyman. We'll take my family. Come on. Let's pack it up. Well, Jim and I left that Cherokee Dude Ranch at 6 o'clock the next morning. You know the mountains are kind of blue at that time of day. Even the one right next to it. We drove for about 2 hours, and then we stopped. Had biscuits, sausage gravy, eggs over easy, orange juice, toast, and coffee. And the next 4 hours to Cheyenne were spent with beer, cigarettes, silence. First time I ever met Jim was at breakfast. We got talkative after I passed him some cream. I was at a truck stop in Greeley, Colorado. First place I got off that bus in Kentucky, but I want to tell you something. Cheyenne. Oh, man. Cheyenne. Cheyenne really goes nuts, man. I mean, Frontier Days is the central fucking center of the West, man. Fucking cowboys everywhere you look. Mom would have loved to see that. Every son of a bitch you run into is either a wrangler, or a rider, or a bleeder, or a stinker, or a killer. The bars are hyped up Dodge City, filled with high-speed, high-tech, foul-spirited bar fights. Now, Jim Bulldog, he did pretty well. I don't know how to judge these things, but he made some money at it, and at night we go out drinking. I don't particularly like being bumped into like that. Now, why don't you say you're sorry? I don't believe I heard anything. Why don't you go ahead and apologize, you pudgy little prick? And all I said was, hey, stop it, all right? And the 2 beers I'm picking up go flying across the room. Another, my head kind of goes sideways to the left. I slide into this table full of empty beer bottles, and everything's quiet. And Jim has got this guy by the wrist, and he's talking in this real low voice. I never did understand why he talked like that. All right, now, calm down. Calm down. Why are you hitting my friend? Are you some kind of goddamn fool? I ought to kill you, but I won't. Now you just stand there at attention while I walk over there, pick up my friend, and we walk out that door. Now you be nice and obedient when I let go, or you'll never see your mama again. Well, he let go. Jim bent down to pick me up. The guy made a move to kick Jim in the head, and all of a sudden Jim was all over. And there's this little flash of steel out of his back pocket, a couple of crunching sounds. The guy groaned, started to bleed, and we left. Look, I tell you, buddy, you're supposed to keep me out of trouble, not get me into it. And look here, you got my courage all bloody.
Turned out that courage was a pearl-handled single-shot .22 that Jim kept in his back pocket for self-defense. Could really hurt. He got hit with the butt end of it.
And look, there's another rodeo down in Roswell, New Mexico. It's part of the New Mexico State Fair. It starts on September 10th. We only got 2 days. I know I can get it if we can get down there in time to register. Come on, we'll take turns driving and sleeping. Let's go.
Well, we stopped. We got some gin, some beer, some cheese nibs, and took off. Now, the first leg was going about 650 miles south on I-25 at Albuquerque. We made that in 15 hours. It was a good time. It's an old-fashioned, you know. We stopped at this skelly truck stop there, and, well, Jim had been battering the steering wheel, you know, and mumbling to himself on the way down there. And when he got out of the car to go in the place, he just slammed the shit out of the door. He ordered 4 eggs over easy, toast and coffee. Yeah, God, I've been eating an awful lot of eggs lately, and the yolks are starting to make me sick, so I ordered a couple scrambled. When she brought the stuff, all Jim's eggs had been cooked in one pan. Oh, I don't know how often you eat in diners, but you see, those little pans they cook the eggs in, they're only meant for 2 eggs. So if you put 4 in, all the white runs to the center. And even after he flips them over, when you cut into it, it's like pure protoplasm on your plate. That's what happened to Jim. And he sent them back. And through that little horizontal window, you could hear the pimply-faced punk of a cook say, if he knew what he wanted, he'd get it. If he wants some over hard, by God, I'll give him to him over hard. And Jim's coffee goes slamming across the counter. You take those over hard up your ass, you little turd. And he throws a sugar jar through the window. Well, we didn't figure it was a very good idea to stick around there to get our gas, so we took off again. This time I-40 east, towards the Roswell cut off. Mm-hmm. We weren't 15 minutes down the highway and the twirling red lights behind us, and we had to pull over. Well, cowboy, you sure do speed down this highway like you own it now, don't you? You sure do throw a mean jar of sugar. Why don't you get out of that car now, mister? Jim got out. I stayed put, and what was being said became unclear. Okay, hands up against the car. You know, you sure are dumb, cowboy. I was having a Danish right down the counter when you pulled that. What have we here? A little weapon. Why don't you come to my car now, mister? Jim says, you don't have to jerk me. I'll go on my own. What was that, Jesse James? What was that you said to me? I said, let go. Why, you stupid little shit.
Wham! And all of a sudden the cop throws Jim up against the car. Wham! And all of a sudden the cop's got Jim by the head. Now, have you ever done something so fast it was over before you knew it started? I had this little tire iron out from under the front seat, this little L-shaped sort of thing. And I'm out on the front hood. I use the outside rear view mirror to get up there. And the cop sees me coming, pulls his gun. Jim lunges to the left, but turns the back of that cop's head towards me. And my arm came around, and there was a racking sound like you have never heard before. And even if you are a doctor, and even as my momentum carried me to the ground and I rolled on that highway, I knew that I had definitely knocked that guy over the fence. I got back up, and I walked over to face our dead New Mexico highway patrolman. Jim seemed lost, laying there with his messy dead man across his lap. I pulled that cop off of him. I've been around a lot of dead people before. But it was always under such clean conditions. This guy had exploded. His pants were full of shit. His blood, his brain were all over it. And he was so dead, it seemed like this was the only way he had ever used. A completely nauseating and frightening sack of garbage. My hands felt sticky for days. Jim got back in the car and turned it around. I picked up the tire iron and I got back in the car. We drove off without a word, back through Albuquerque and northwest on 44. I threw the tire iron out the window near a town called Cuba, New Mexico. See,
The idea was to go through four corners into Utah and into Canada. I mean, who'd expect a couple of cop killers to go to Utah? See, this whole thing with the cop happened in a gray, dead-aired 6 a.m. That time of day pops up a lot with Jim and me. Or at least it did. Did you ever see the movie The Misfits? Pissed me off. But parts of it were okay. You see, end result for me was it made a man feel ashamed he had a goddamn job. I mean, what was Gable walking around saying he wouldn't work for wages because he's some kind of lash to the cowboys or some shit? I tell you what, buddy, I'd work for wages. I have had plenty of jobs, and I ain't ashamed of one of them. Just they mostly didn't work out, that's all. I mean, I would sell light bulbs door to door if I thought I could make any money at it, but nobody is allowed, period. And then some wide-eyed innocent comes a-waltzing in, asking politely if we all had some room, and if we all wouldn't mind, and winds up popping the back end of a trooper's skull a country mile. It's always you buggers that caused the trouble in the first place. That's why I pulled you out of that bar back in Cheyenne. That's your first bar fight, wasn't it? And that dead weight back on the highway in New Mexico. That's your first big old notch in your fucking gun, isn't it? Who the hell are you anyway? We spent the night in Montezuma Creek, Utah, at the Navajo Motel. Jim said he'd been doing some thinking in the middle of the night. He figured that we better sell the car when we got to Canada and split up there. But first, there was a dinosaur roundup rodeo, and he figured he could make a couple of $100 in about 2 days' winnings, which would stake him some. And he'd give me 50 when we got to Canada. So we headed for Vernal, Utah. Utah. I'll tell you something about Utah. It's like one big Grand Canyon in the south there. It's got these wind-carved rocks, you know, great big bluffs. Wound through Moab, Crescent Junction, Green River, took a ride at Helper, Utah, and after about a half-day's drive on this little backwoods road, really getting into the mountains now, came to Gusser, Utah, about 23 miles south of Vernal, and the Falcon runs out of gas. Well, now there is no gas to be had in Gusser, Utah on a Sunday afternoon. One local guy says he'd take us up to Vernal and back for $20. Jim said, screw that, we'll hitch. So we started walking along the side of the highway there, you know, not saying a whole lot, just kind of taking in that fresh air, you know, turning around whenever we heard a car coming. Looking at that blue sky, you know, and them snow-capped mountains, and you know, I just couldn't help noticing what I was wearing and how authentic I was. And I was walking along there, you know, looking down at my faded, tore-up jeans, beat-up old boots, glancing at my shadow myself on the highway, the way my hat looked and all. Same stuff I have on now. You see, I just couldn't help noticing myself do what I was doing. I was fascinated with my new life, with my new reasons and my new problems, with the way I walked and talked and thought. I wasn't a phony. I really was that person. Or am. Who the hell knows? I do like my boots, though, and my hat. Yes, sir. I like everything. You know, everything is fine. I especially like Utah. My home state now. Yep. You know, I should get interested in politics. I should find out whether the governor is a Democrat or Republican. Find out who controls the state legislature. Find out the mores of this great southwestern state. Hell, maybe I'll become a Mormon. Find out what color God's ass really is. Who says what? What do you do? Do you duck? You run? Shoot? Shake hands or punch a fucking wise ass in the face? Who knows? Who cares? You want to know something? They care. Yes, they do. Even if it is in the most back-ass sort of way. You know, they ought to issue cowboy guidebooks just like drivers, man. The white Buick pulls around in front of us at about 6 p.m. 12 hours opposite our favorite time, and 3 drunk cowboys get out. One starts pissing on the side of the highway next to the car. The other 2 start staggering towards us, carrying cans of beer, slapping each other on the back, and there says, "Where are y'all going? And where are you from? And have some beer." You know, when we got up to their car, it turns out that Jim knows the pissing guy. I don't know. They fixed a fence for somebody or something, and that was enough. They were going to take us up to Vernal, get us our gas, and bring us back to our car. Shit, yeah, anything for an old working buddy. Well, now, I'm supposed to sit here in the front seat between these 2 guys, Frank, and Jim and the pissing guy are sitting in the back seat with this big cooler of beer. I'm a little bit confused, and I asked one of the guys I'm sitting with if he's Frank, and there says, "Ho, ho, ho, ho." They're laughing, and the pissing guy whispering to Jim, and he's laughing. And then the guy on my right, who smells pretty damn bad, he pushes this newspaper to the side on the dashboard. His little head flicks out. His whole thing sort of slid to the side. Fat brown rattlesnake. His tongue flicked out like a lighter, just like in the movies. He stared at me, and I turned to stone, broke into a sweat. Also, just like in the movies. And you want to know what a cowboy thinks is funny? This is it. Well, after they calmed down, Bad Smell starts to squeeze the back of my neck, saying how tame that snake is, how they caught it in the desert by feeding it peanut butter and pushing my face towards it, saying the dashboard is his home. He keeps our tape decks from being robbed. I should get to know him. I should say hello to Frank. And there says, yeah, get to know him. Say hello to Frank. Well, now, I learned in Cheyenne to do whatever a drunk cowboy tells you to do, and to do it in the most sincere way you know how. Everybody was real satisfied with the way I said hello to Frank. Even Jim said it was real satisfying. Well, then everything was quiet. At least they left me alone while I kept my eye on that snake. We headed up towards Vernal. Now, when we got to Vernal, if I'd have had any sense at all, I'd have made some excuse like I had to go to the bathroom or something and headed out on my own. But no, I stayed sandwiched between driver and Bad Smell, staring at that snake while Jim and the pissing guy went and got a can of gas, and we headed back towards Gusher. Now, on the way back towards Gusher, the guy on my left, the driver, he starts to talk to me, saying how a guy in this part of the country had to be real strong and learn to appreciate his friends, and did not think so. Didn't know. And Bad Smell says he's getting tired of my uppity, untalkative ways. I didn't reply. And then Jim, he knocks my hat off from behind my head, and he says, oh, he's just a dude from down south who needs to get a little humble and take some lessons from some friends who are only trying to help him out anyway. And I say, all right, but just give me back my goddamn hat. But the driver has it sandwiched between himself and the door and says, you ain't going to get shit unless you learn how to ask politely. And Jim said, yeah, that's it. Ask him to apologize. Well, he must have been drinking a hell of a lot back there with the pissing guy, because he starts screaming at me to have a beer. And the pissing guy starts slapping me on the back of the head, trying to get me to turn around. Jesus, man, I'm too scared to do anything right now. And that snake's getting agitated. And all right, let me out. Let me out of this goddamn car. Give me back my hat and I'll go out on my own. Just let me out. And the car pulls over to a full stop on the shoulder, and the driver says, you could have gotten us all killed. You got to learn to calm down and not go screaming around like some kind of pussy. And we're out of the car, and Bad Smell's got me by the arm, and he's saying he's got something in the trunk he wants me to see. Might do me some good. And we get back there, and that trunk is open. And there's this little half-size styrofoam cooler back there, and he's saying, now, Big Frankie in the front seat, he is a nice guy. Because if he bit you, you got about an hour to get to the hospital before you die. But on the other hand, when he takes the top off that styrofoam cooler, and there's this little black snake down in there just whirring around as fast as a blender down there, just hissing and rattling like sure death. But on the other hand, if little Frank bit you, you got about 5 minutes to feel it, and you are dead in 10. Young'uns are far more deadly. He's got me by the wrist, and he's holding my hand up against that cooler, and he's telling me he wants me to apologize to everybody, including Big and Little Frank, and promise to get off my high horse and not to be so uppity. And I looked at Jim, and he says, do it. And jeez, and I can't. And somehow, with my free hand, I grab that cooler, and I throw it in Bad Smell's face. He screams, snake's out on somebody, I don't know. And the driver's there, and he hits me, and I hit him, and I grab my hat, and everything is quiet. Jim got me by the wrist, told me to calm down. Now, I don't know if you've ever had your wrist held up to your face like that, but it is pretty damn near impossible to stay calm. And he calls me trigger happy again. And fuck you! And I kick and I kick and I kick and I'm free. And I see Jim's face all screwed up and that pearl handle. It's bang! It's bang! No! I woke up and my head was all in one big lump and I was hurting all over. But they did beat me in my hat. Sheriff says that local boys helped this cowboy to subdue me after I had forced him at gunpoint. There's his little pearl handle, single shot 22 is evidence. On my way up north trying to get to Canada. Seems that the cowboy said that I had bragged about how I killed this highway patrolman back in New Mexico after he stopped me from hitching. You see, hitching is illegal in New Mexico. But his tire iron I kept in my satchel for self-defense. See, the cowboy said I was drunk when I told him. Well, Sheriff, he didn't seem to flinch at the total implausibility of the story since the cowboy had left town before he had a chance to talk to him, but they didn't check down in Cuba, New Mexico anyway for that tire iron, which I had thrown out the window without even bothering to wipe off. That's all he was told. Second-hand story. Well, you know, they found that tire iron. They won't ever find Jim, though. I won't even look for him because I told him. I said, that's just the way it happened. You got me dead to rights. Who gives a shit anyway? I'm losing any connection with the past I might have had. I'll tell you one thing for sure, though. There's no such thing as betrayal. There's only hit and run. Some things the doctor can't do anything about. So Dr. Simpson talking, he's probably out mowing his lawn or taking somebody's pulse right now. Sometimes you see a patient, and all he's got left is his disease. Everything else is eaten away. All you can do is treat the pain, turn him over. Don't fight for a lost cause, son. Just step out of the way. I wonder if he ever got around to digging up his driveway and planting that vegetable garden.
Lonely men ride the highways. Lonely men sing the blues. Crying out their lonely feelings. like only a lonely man can do. And the yellow line lays out across the 4 lane, like the broken lines that run across his brow. And the price of his freedom cost a fortune, and he wishes that she'd see him now. How a lonely man is always crying for someone more than just a friend. He'll find himself alone come the morning and wonder why he's in the shape he's in. And the yellow line lays out across the 4 lane, like the broken lines that run across his brow. And the price of his freedom cost a fortune, and he wishes that she'd see him now. And the yellow line lays out across the 4 lane, like the broken lines that run across his brow. And the price of his freedom cost a fortune, and he wishes that she'd see him now.